Greetings that are friendly, my fellow miscreants and ne'er-do-wells. It is I, the Necrofessor, your humble interdimensional plague doctor. And we're going to take a look at the fascinating plague-riddled phenomena that is infecting the mainstream consciousness nowadays. Now, I'm sure that you've noticed lately more plague doctors are popping up all over the place. In comics, movies, video games, and music, we're all experiencing a visit from one plague doctor or another. I wonder why? Maybe it's because we as a global society are now just waltzing out of the ass end of a not-so-popular pandemic, one that is pervasive and still flourishing in its meandering variations. I say that we are fighting a plague of fear just as much as a plague of physiology. It is an unfortunate side effect of the disease. But enough talk! Time for more talking. Strap on your favorite plague mask like the masochist you are, and let's talk about Major Grom Plague Doctor. This video is riddled with spoilers. Personally, don't give a damn about spoilers. It has never impeded my ability to consume media. I knew that whenever I found out the day before that Han Solo died, or I saw The Force Awakens and I felt nothing, I knew that I was ready. Anyway, just watching people twist themselves into superficial knots over pretense is just not what I signed up for in this lifetime. Try not to tease yourself so much. It'll cut the circulation down there. Trust me, when you learn not to care about spoilers, you will be free to consume media in ways you've never dreamed of. Allow me to recount this movie to you in my professional sketchbook, before the meds kick in, and I too recreate my own poor representation of mental health. So, the movie kicks off with protagonist Detective Major Grom, chasing after an armored truck stolen by three goons in masks that look like something out of a sushi menu. They just, robbed a bank or something. Turns out these masks are from a popular Russian hockey comic named Puck Puck. Do with that information what you will. I kind of think the masks are cool. That's something I want to say at the beginning of all this, is that I give this movie high marks for cool-ass masks. In my opinion, it's the real reason why the Purge movies have continued so far in perpetuity and all these sequels. You know, for one, Hollywood really likes beating a dead horse. They're very fond of it. And two, the costume designs and the wacky-ass masks that the Purgers, the Purge folk, the Purge-keteers, wear while they do them a purge. I just think it's entertaining. I don't know why I'm slamming the pristine reputation of the Purge cinematic universe, but let's proceed. So our boy Igor is hauling ass after this armored truck on foot for no practical reason, and Igor eventually catches up through the convenience of perpendicular bus placement, as the armored car truck thing smashes into the side of a bus, and it is stuck halfway, as this hot dog image will illustrate. Now, you might be wondering, does this movie have anything to do with a plague, a pestilence, a pandemic, or any obscure biological malaise surrounding the plot? And let me answer that with another question. Do you like fire? There's a lot of fire in this. For the pyromaniacs in the crowd, there are many a bursting, flame-broiled explosion to be had in this movie. There's not much plague. They must have burned most of it away. Yes, Major Grom Plague Doctor is another piece of media where the concept of a plague doctor is more abstracted and not so much a representation of those classical practitioners of the healing arts, which I'm perfectly fine with. I'm just glad that I'm getting a big-budget Plague Doctor movie. A Plague Doctor going around and doing Plague Doctor stuff would be appealing to a very narrow audience, namely just me and other Plague Doctors. Everyone else would be like, wow, this is incredibly depressing. I know, right? I think the motivation of the Plague Doctor in this movie, and from what I can assume in the predecessor comic book that this is inspired from, is that our antagonist, the titular Plague Doctor, views that the city of St. Petersburg is afoul, with consumed individuals of multi-million-dollar opulence. These rich and inconsiderate pricks are the ones responsible for plaguing this world with corruption. See what I did there? Eluding this judgment and all this stuff for their destructive acts and effectively just getting away with murder. But now the Plague Doctor is here to cure this land by eliminating the powerful and corrupt in over-the-top ways involving, flamethrowers, piles of burning money, and The grand explosive displays, which really inspires the lower castes to rise up and don their own Plague Doctor masks for an endless night of revolt and violent revelry against those damn capitalistic oppressors. I'm being oppressed! And you may be thinking, hey, that sounds a lot like Batman, The Dark Knight, or Joker, or Fight Club, or V for Vendetta. But what you fail to realize is this has Plague Doctors. So it's a totally new idea, and don't read too much into it, just look down the shotgun barrel and tell me what you see. So here is where we get our first dose of a visual psych-out trick that pops up now and then throughout the movie. Major Grom does this thing where he imagines a particular scenario playing out in his mind, only then to cut back to him saying, think, and then like imagining the scenario playing out in a different way. For example, he imagines how he's going to catch up with this armored truck by doing different things like leaping on top of the vehicle and doing different stuff as it pulls away, and then playing out like small fight scenes in his head before committing to anything. It's a weird filming convention that I've only ever seen in a few movies, kind of like the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies, where he's pretending to make breakfast while he concusses the hell out of somebody. But it just reminds me of that masterwork of cinematic storytelling known as Kung Pao Enter the Fist. I don't know why.
I could always pretend I'm a bird. But that would just look stupid and leave my small sensitive balls completely exposed.
Okay, let's beat it up. I ain't got all day. No, crap. Am I recording? Okay, so Igor is a cop on the edge, you know? A real loose cannon. He plays it too close to the chest. He's on thin ice around the precinct. You get the idea. Igor is responsible for crashing a dump truck into an armor truck on his day off. So him and his hat are just gonna have to deal with the consequences. And I assure you, there are severe consequences to be had at this police precinct of cops who just place bets on him being fired all the time, because I guess this happens a lot. And anyway, the head of police is also like his dad, and later they're shown making dumplings or some shit at his family home. I have no idea. So anyway, his dad is kind of like a Commissioner Gordon, and he adopted like Batman. But Batman doesn't want to wear the police uniform and instead insists on that f***ing hat. But you know who really doesn't play by the rules? The rich. Ugh, how dare they have lots of money and not do anything good with it? Like, give it to me. They're responsible for populating the city with snobby-ass little offspring who have way too much cash, and they look like they spend it all cosplaying the Jared Leto Joker. What do you think is gonna happen when this rich boy goes around vehicular manslaughtering kids and being all smug and shit, and only just to walk out of court without any consequences? Well, the Plague Doctor is gonna fix your wagon real quick, f***eroo. They call me the Manglin' Jangler. I'm known for two things: mangling and tax evasion. So the Plague Doctor tracks down Rich Boy and lays the royal beatdown on him, and then he burns the Rich Boy in his car, and we get to see it filmed in twirly flamethrower vision. It's neat. So what? Wait. Who's saying that? Suddenly there's a tech conference from some fancy pants media platform called, Vinisti. And this sushi-haired tech presenter guy named Sergey Razumovsky is talking about how we have one-way encryption, so the posts that you see on your social network will, be totally anonymous. Which, I mean, that's cool. Two-way encryption would also be nice, but it's like a movie, so all you network administrator nerds out there, just pretend it's magic. Speaking of magic, the magic of plot contrivance is all up in this film's goodies. As there is this subplot going on where the same orphanage that the tech guru Sergey grew up in is also the same orphanage the kids grew up in, I think. What, I didn't talk about the orphan kids? I mean, I mentioned the dead one who got hit by a car, tangentially. But there was another one who was there in the courthouse when douchebag McMoneyGrill got acquitted. And the orphan kid's all like, hey, you killed my sister who was also an orphan, and you winked at the judge, and now you're walking away, and fuck you, my guy. And so anyway, this orphan kid, he vowed revenge with that look that says, I vow revenge. Also, there was a scene where Sergey, the tech guru, has a memory about when he was an orphan kid. And and rescued a dog from harm. I'll just put it that way. There was no burning children whatsoever in that memory. There's a lot of orphan-on-orphan violence in this film. I'm not really sure what all that's about. Later, it's revealed Sergei is a bit of a homicidal nut job, but no spoilers. Anyway, Sergei's friend and tech CEO butt buddy, Oleg Volkov, are conspiring in this big-ass office. This room is up top a skyscraper and has ancient Greek statues on display and a replica of Botticelli's Birth of Venus painting hanging up on the wall. It's very swanky. This is the kind of room that is visual shorthand for overt wealth and a 100% chance that a fight scene will be taking place at this location. Oleg is all, "Listen here, bitch tits, I'm the one wearing the black turtleneck, so that means I make the decisions around here. You go back to looking like Zuckerberg's GIMP understudy and listen to my not at all evil plan. Get this, we kill rich people. I mean, them, right? I mean, I know we're rich, but look, I know you weren't there, and I certainly wasn't there either, but right before that rich boy was killed, he was all begging to the plague doctor, and rich boy was all like, what do you want? What do you want? And the plague doctor only said one thing, justice. I thought it was pretty cool anyway. I'm not the plague doctor, but I think he's got a lot of good ideas, and, maybe we should use your multimedia empire to propagate this guy's vision of, look, have you ever seen Fight Club? It is my pleasure to introduce you to Dima Dubin. He's like a Peter Parker type who was bitten by a radioactive plague doctor, and he's also nothing like that. This guy is actually a newbie to the force, and he's being shown the ropes and learning the ways of asshole cop mentality. This really cracks me up. Like the juxtaposition between how cops are portrayed in America in large productions and this are almost nostalgic. A cop, walking him around and being like, "Welcome to St. Petersburg, fish. First thing you gotta know about our police brutality, it's a little quirky." Anyway, little does this guy know, Dubin has a magical plot sketchbook. Wow. Where he's constantly drawing at work. And I too run around with a sketchbook, and I draw at work and at social endeavors, just all the time, really. I'm a real fun guy at parties. So I resonate with this guy, only a little bit. He's kind of a weirdo. He's a freak. So he draws a description of the Plague Doctor based on Major Grom's description, and that's cool. Nice drawing skills. This guy shows up with a weird smile, and he's like, another detective, and he's top from like a security service thing, and he takes Major Grom off the case of the Plague Doctor, and now assigns Dubin and Grom as partners, and they are forced to work on the case of the missing 12 refrigerators. And I know that sounds like I just rambled off a frenetic word salad that almost resembled human speech, but I assure you, it means nothing. Nothing whatsoever. The 12 refrigerators are just like this weird joke they do at the end credits. Which, by the way, can I talk about these credits? The introduction sequence starts with one of the bank heist goons getting punched while interrupting the introduction title from coming in, and then some long CGI credits play out depicting big sweeping shots of marble statues of justice weeping bloody tears and holding giant scales with little birds flying out of it, and then there's this all flaming plague doctor imagery and stuff. It's wild. And then compare that to the end credits, which is done in this sort of 2D hand-drawn animated style with the story of Major Grom tracking down the refrigerators because that was like a loose end they wanted to tie up by the end of the 2-hour, 18-minute runtime. The cartoon, everyone, was depicted wearing red Adidas tracksuits, which, because that's mandatory Russian attire, as we all know. And, I don't know, this movie was a trip. Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say. I better be recording.
Disgusting creatures, get out of my sight.
So, Major Grom and Dubin, they say, to hell with those refrigerators. We're going to continue to investigate the Plague Doctor, because that's way more cool than doing our jobs. Dubin shows Grom his sketchbook depicting the Plague Doctor, and Grom straight tears the drawing out of Homeboy's sketchbook. I'm sorry. Hell no. You do not tear a drawing out of someone else's sketchbook. Who is responsible for allowing this scene in a movie? Look, someone should be rightfully assaulted if that scenario happened in real life. They should be allowed a beatdown card. Look, I know this is like a throwaway scene or something, but it got me shook. That's all I'm gonna say. Rip a drawing out of someone else's sketchbook. You sadistic bastard! Who hurt you? Was it the hat? These two ding-dongs take to the streets, kicking down multiple doors in the criminal underworld and trying to drum up more info on the origin and, the resources of the Plague Doctor, who has since taken off in popularity due to online hype, and being seen as a dashing Robin Hood type who just so happens to also commit violent murders. Anyway, he's got a cool mask, and you can hardly smell the burning children, so it's okay. It's okay, I swear.
Tell him to bring me my money. Yeah!
So Major Grom heads back to his studio apartment and just so happens to beat up two guys in the process of mugging this girl named YULIA PCHYOLKINA. No, I won't look it up. I got it right the first time. So Grom manages to convince her to come back to his place in a scene that is obviously way too intense for the theatrical cut. He somehow convinced her to go back, being all like this little scrape on your knee. You should really come back to my place so I can seductively put this bandage on your knee, and then I don't know. Maybe I'll remove my shirt and brood about something that happened in my past. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if you pass the Grom test. Now, YULIA is not just any girl in a wig being assaulted. She is a journalist. She's there to get the scoop. She's a blogger on a mission. And she's willing to stage fake mugging attempts to get closer to Major Grom and then photograph images of the Plague Doctor case file in Grom's possession, which there was probably a scene explaining how this wasn't a completely incidentally contrived nonsense. But look, I'm not a scientist, but I am, however, banned from most petting zoos. The Plague Doctor, meanwhile, is doing way more interesting stuff, like explodifying at the stake the head of a bank. And this bank is known for screwing over investors and suck you. And also, Plague Doctor shows up to torch the owners of a giant landfill that are causing ecological upheaval, and those guys suck. And he's like, "Fuck you and your junk." It's probably not what happened. Is this formaldehyde? You gonna drink that? The people that the Plague Doctor are targeting are so just cartoonishly evil in such a broad-ass way that they may as well just be ripped from a comic book, which is absurd, I know. With many rich types being killed willy-nilly, and the logical thing to do would just be to simply open up a high-roller casino nearby and have a party with all the wealthy elites in attendance. That's a great idea. Dubin thinks that this is where the Plague Doctor will strike next, but instead, an entire gang of Plague Doctor followers arrive with the intention of robbing the rich and only slightly murdering them. Shenanigans ensue, and it turns out that in the melee, one of the Plague Doctor masks get knocked off, one of the thugs revealing the orphan kid. Oh no, this poor soul has turned to a life of violence and angsty-ass rebellion, an act of misguided revenge for his sister that, she got hit by that car. Remember? Wow, how incredibly profound. I actually forgot about your character going on for a little while.
Oh no.
Sorry, there's a lot going on. But enough of that. The security force busts in and stops the blood orgy that was about to go on, which the other detective with the big ass teeth fires Major Grom, and he's all like, "Tee-hee, fired." Who is now like a minor Grom, if you... I'm sorry, I'll let myself out. So YULIA, Dubin, and Grom are basically just like friends at this point because they recognize the power of friendship is the strongest plot armor of all, and they resign to figure out the Plague Doctor case, because what else are we doing with our free time? Everything has been just going really well so far. Thank you for asking. YULIA had informed Grom about this thing called Holt International, which is involved in high-tech weapons development, and surprise, they have connections with Sergei and the Misty, and the pieces are coming together, and It is so complex, this puzzle. Back at the orphanage where all these problems had, these people had emerged, it's all leading back to the orphanage. And there's evidence that Sergei used to draw bird-like creatures when he was a child. They kept his sketchbook under some glass because he's famous now, and that's what orphanages do. And he's also crazy, and so, obviously if you draw bird-like creatures and you're a tech guru, CEO, orphan, you know what that means. Please tell me I have no idea. Where am I? It basically means that Sergei is the tech guru and is actually the Plague Doctor. Big reveal. I'm pretty sure everyone in the audience that wasn't lobotomized also figured this out. That's right, the turtleneck wearing Oleg wasn't actually real, you silly goose. It was a psychological projection of Sergei to associate from the atrocities of the Plague Doctor and all that he was committing. Obviously. Wow, so deep, so meta. Hey, have you ever seen Fight Club? Anyway, Grom is pissed, and he's probably thinking, Sergei, I should have known that Wayne Enterprises and Fox Industries were involved, and that you weren't, Oleg, because you are Oleg, and Oleg's not real, and who was Oleg? You are the Plague Doctor. But Major Grom doesn't have time to confront Sergei after regaining consciousness because he is, oh no, wait, because he's now Major Grom is the Plague Doctor. See, the movie title makes a lot more sense. Plague Doctor Major Grom finds himself in the Plague Doctor suit on top of a building, about to be framed for all the domestic terrorism that the Plague Doctor has wrought upon the city, because forensic evidence and DNA and all that stuff don't matter. The police apprehend Major Grom in the Plague Doctor outfit and let him wear it the entire time as they attempt to throw the book at him, interrogate him, and you're going to prison jail. Anyway, since this is like just the wacky precinct of the St. Petersburg police, Yulia and Dubin, they bust in. They help spring Grom from custody with very little effort, and the team goes forth to lay the royal whoop-ass upon Sergei and his dual personality hijinks. So the city itself is turning into a rioting frenzy, as you do, and the real Plague Doctor releases a video online imploring his followers to go out and commit a bit of the old ultra-violence, and they kill anyone who they deem to be villains. Yet at the same time, the Plague Doctor is kind of a contrarian, and he considers his followers to be like imposters and misfits, and they're also guilty, and they also need to face judgment. And so the Plague Doctor's solution is to force the military to step in and kill everybody. So in short, the Plague Doctor's morals are a bit of a hot mess. He's like, you suck, you die, everyone sucks, they all die. Oh, we're all dead. I get it. The first rule of Project Mayhem is you do not ask questions. So here we are, the boss battle between Major Grom and Sergei up in that giant-ass office building. The scene is set, the statues are present, the testicles on the statues nowhere to be found. It is an intense brawl, resulting in the destruction of most of the room while the streets erupt in violence down below. The Plague Doctor is about to lay the smackdown, but Major Grom has like a Jimmy Neutron brain blast moment, and he imagines himself disarming Sergei in various ways, resulting in Grom attempting to sacrifice himself and Sergei by means of spearing the Plague Doctor and both of them hurling themselves out of the building window. That's right, they watched Sherlock Holmes, Game of Shadows, Shadow-ish. Same thing. Luckily, anyway, Yulia and Dubin succeed in preventing Major Grom from meeting ground control and avoiding the sequels, let's be honest, by catching him by his feet and saving the day, while Sergei, the Plague Doctor, is also saved, and because they're all holding on to each other comically. And so Sergei gets tied to a chair, with a fire hose thingy, and he sits there to await authorities. Sergei, defeated and for all intents and purposes cucked, reveals to our heroes that his dastardly deeds will still come to fruition, and they were fools to think that they could combat his 5D chess skills of kill everyone because everyone sucks. And then Yulia's all like, oh no, you don't. I just recorded your silly rant, you and now you have exposed you to everyone. And he's all like, curse you, meddling kids. I can't believe I forgot my whole tech empire was built on freedom of speech. This is impossible. And the movie ends with everyone on a building eating burritos, and Major Grom is learning the value of friendship. And he snatches the sketchbook out of Dubin's hand because he's a prick. And everyone's happy and laughing, and the camera pulls away on the building, and do, except for Sergei. He doesn't get any friends because he's stupid and he's a crazy and he's a plague doctor. The end. Oh wait, actually no, the movie ends with after credit scene depicting Sergei locked away at a True Value Arkham Asylum, and he's wearing a straitjacket, and a CG version of himself appears behind him covered in black feathers, and he wraps his arms around himself and sprouts big black wings which wipe the screen to black. And I know there were words in the scene, but honestly, I was so distracted by the visuals. They could have revealed the cure for cancer, and all I'd remember is Mark Zuckerberg's sleep paralysis demon at the end of this movie. So that is Major Grom Plague Doctor. This is one of those guilty pleasure movies. It's one of those films that doesn't really take itself too damn seriously, and therefore are perfect for my uncultured ass. I am certainly not a film critic, nor have I ever publicly admitted to devouring one whole, but I will say that this was worth a watch. And luckily, this is one of those films where I did not have to consult doesthedogdie.com every time I saw a dog on the screen. And I know I'm not the only one who is just, upon seeing a dog in any movie, I immediately become suspicious that this fucker is about to be the one that will emotionally manipulate me into giving a damn. I like seeing international films. Living in America, it seems that our media is all too eager to stew in its own juices and not foster films from other countries. This movie defied my expectations, which I don't know what they were, but it had established the groundwork for its own cinematic universe. And I personally think that's pretty cool that a plague doctor is at the forefront of its promotional material. It makes me feel all warm and illegal on the inside. I forgot to mention that there was a scene where Dubin goes to Major Grom's house and sees his window covered in paper articles and images about plague doctors of old and stuff, and Dubin's like, whoa, you built up the plague doctor's psychological profile, or something like that. It was, it was hilarious. Get you someone who cared enough about you to build up your psychological profile on their window. I had every intention of this video to be a short one, but here we are. Big thanks to the Plague Squad on Patreon for encouraging me to branch out and do more Plague Doctor content. We all have to start somewhere, doing different things, and if you want to try something new, you just gotta do it. If I were to crash and burn attempting something new, I couldn't imagine a cooler group of people to do it in front of. Let me know what other plague topics you think I should cover next, and I shall absorb it into the information nexus for future consumption. Head over to the Plague Life shop and acquire the coolest Plague Doctor related gear for your travels. All these things help keep the boilers running over here, and it serves to create bigger and better things. Also, my disassociated personality requests that you bestow upon me a like and subscribe to this here channel. I mean, you don't have to. Only true badasses are capable of such feats. That's it for now. I'm gonna go draw bird-like creatures in my sketchbook. Stay creepy.